To do a recap of the last lesson, we're going to talk about the difference between expressions and equations again. So an expression has no equal sign and you don't solve it, you can only simplify it. And equations have an equal sign, they can be simplified and solved. Last lesson we talked about how to write expressions, and now we're going to get into the evaluation of it. So there's going to be about 3 different ways that we can go about simplification. That first way is going to be knowing your variables. So this is if you're given the value of a variable. So your steps for that are going to be to substitute and then perform your order of operations. 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up with one number as your simplification, as your answer. So here's an example. X squared plus 2y if x equals a negative 4 and y equals 5. So here I did some color coding because that's my favorite. So our x's are going to be our red and our y's are going to be our blue. So I just took that x and I substituted in the negative 4 because that was our given value. And every single time that you substitute something, you want to make sure you put it in parentheses, and that's going to be really important, especially when you have your exponents, because as you can see, your negative is inside of your squared. So that means negative 4 times a negative 4 is going to give you a positive 16. It would be different if that negative was on the outside. So here you got your 16 from that, and then when you substitute in your y, you're going to get 5 times 2, which is going to give you 10, and that leaves the addition, so 16 plus 10 is 26. Your next way of simplification is combining like terms. Here you're going to identify your like terms, perform your order of operations, and simplify until you have no more common terms to combine. So here, as you can see, we have 6z minus z minus 7 minus 3. So here we have 2 different kinds of terms. We have our variable terms, which is just z, which is pink, and we have our non-variable terms, which is going to be blue. I showed you the math for it right underneath, and I added that one in front of the z because every variable that doesn't have a number out in front of it actually has an invisible 1. So here we have 6z minus 1z, which is going to give us 5z. As you can see, we just took the coefficients and did the math with the coefficients and brought the z down. And then for our non-variable terms, we have a negative 7 and a negative 3, which we're going to end up with a negative 10. And now we're left with a variable term and a non-variable term, so obviously we can't combine them at all without knowing the value of z. Here's another example of combining like terms, and this is going to be really important because I want you to notice that y and y squared cannot combine. Unless it is multiplication that's happening between them, you cannot combine them. So because this is subtraction, we have our 7y, and that's just going to be brought down, and our negative y squared, so that's just going to be brought down because there's no other y's or y squareds to go with them. And then we have a 10 and a negative 5, which we can combine to get 5. And our third way is going to be distribution. So this is going to be what happens between parentheses, and basically you're going to be taking the outside number that's supposed to be multiplied, and you're going to distribute it or spread it to the terms inside of the parentheses. You're used to seeing this by solving your parentheses first and then multiplying whatever you get from that with the outside number. However, as you can see in this situation, it's not going to work very well if you don't have a value for y. So the way to simplify that is to distribute. My favorite way to show distribution is through this little arrow thing that I've got going on here. And like I've been saying, it's a multiplication thing that we're doing here. So we're distributing our 4 to our y. We're going to get 4 times y. We're going to bring down the operation that is in the parentheses, which is addition in this case. And then we're going to distribute the 4 to the 10 and get 4 times 10. So 4 times y gives us 4y plus 4 times 10, which is 40. If you have any other questions, just let me know. And if you need any other help, your book is a really great resource. They have other examples and ways of wording things. So, good luck.